They buried his book for a reason. Enoch walked with God for 365 years before vanishing without death. What he saw was so precise, so terrifying, that the church locked his prophecies away for over 1,000 years. 7 prophecies, all happening right now. Stay until the end, because the final prophecy describes a tribulation so intense that even mentioning it could get you labeled a conspiracy theorist. But Enoch saw it coming thousands of years ago. In the beginning, they were called watchers, angels sent to observe humanity from the heights of heaven. But observation became obsession, and obsession became corruption. Enoch records their fall with surgical precision. These beings descended from their posts to exploit humanity. They taught forbidden knowledge, the secrets of warfare, sorcery, genetic manipulation. What God had hidden, they revealed. The watchers would be bound until the great day of judgment, chained in darkness, while their hybrid offspring brought violence and corruption to the earth. But the pattern never ended. Secret societies operating in shadows, claiming ancient knowledge passed down through forbidden channels. The same bloodlines, the same symbols, the same techniques appearing across centuries in different forms. Each generation rediscovering what was meant to stay buried. Technological elites pushing boundaries that should never be crossed. Artificial intelligence that threatens to surpass human understanding. Genetic editing that rewrites the code of life itself. They're not inventing new knowledge. They're applying ancient secrets the Watchers taught long ago. The Watchers taught humanity to make weapons of war. Today we have weapons that could end all life on Earth. They revealed the secrets of manipulation. Today, algorithms shape thought on a global scale. Jude 6 echoes Enoch's vision. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains, under darkness for the judgment of the great day. The judgment Enoch foretold is still coming. The only question is whether we'll recognize the Watchers' influence before their chains are finally tightened forever. Long before Noah ever heard God's voice, Enoch stood in the divine council and witnessed the decision that would reshape the world. The corruption had spread too far. The Watchers' children, the giants who devoured everything in their path, had turned the earth into a slaughterhouse. The pure bloodline connecting humanity to the divine was being polluted beyond repair. Enoch saw the solution, a complete reset. The flood wasn't just judgment, it was mercy. Enoch himself becomes the messenger warning Noah decades before the first drop falls. Genesis confirms what Enoch revealed. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. But Enoch's flood prophecy wasn't just about water. It was about cleansing through catastrophe, about divine resets when corruption reaches critical mass. The pattern is repeating. Violence fills the earth again, genetic codes are being rewritten in laboratories. And these laboratory-created viruses escape into the wild. The powerful consume resources while the masses suffer. And now the same signs appear. Rising seas, unprecedented storms, weather patterns shifting in ways that defy natural explanation. Ancient flood traditions from across the globe mirror Enoch's vision. The Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh describes God sending a deluge to wipe away corrupted humanity. In Mesoamerica, the Aztec 5 Sons myth tells of worlds destroyed by successive floods and catastrophes. Even in Hindu texts, Manu is warned of an apocalyptic flood by a divine being who preserves life in a vessel. How did cultures oceans apart all remember the same cataclysm unless they were echoing the reality Enoch saw with his own eyes? Some call it climate change. Others whisper of weather manipulation technology, of intentional destabilization designed to trigger the next great reset. Are these natural consequences of human corruption, or is something more deliberate at work? The same forces that once taught forbidden knowledge, now engineering the conditions for global cleansing. Even more disturbing is that Enoch hints the flood was not a one-time event, but part of a recurring cycle: corruption, judgment, cleansing, rebirth. If the earth itself becomes the instrument of justice when humanity crosses a line, then the storms and floods we're seeing today aren't random at all. They're warnings. The cycle is beginning again. Enoch's warning echoes across millennia. When corruption reaches critical mass, the earth itself becomes the instrument of judgment. The question isn't whether another cleansing will come, but whether this generation will recognize the warning before the waters rise. If these connections between ancient prophecy and modern events are opening your eyes to something deeper, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're just getting started with what Enoch saw coming. In the most forbidden chapters of Enoch's visions, he sees a figure that shatters every comfortable assumption about divine judgment and mercy. The Son of Man appears not as a gentle shepherd, but as a cosmic judge whose very presence separates light from darkness, truth from deception, the righteous from the damned. Enoch describes him with surgical precision, a figure seated on a throne of glory, given the sum of all judgment, with the authority to cause sinners to pass away and be destroyed from the face of the earth, especially those who have led the world astray. The Son of Man doesn't come to reform the system, he comes to replace it entirely. Kings and rulers who have oppressed the righteous, who have built their thrones on lies and violence, they all face the same fate, not imprisonment, not reformation, but complete removal from the earth. Daniel 7 echoes this. I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. But Enoch adds details that were too dangerous for the canonical books. This figure doesn't just judge individuals, he dismantles entire power structures that have corrupted the earth. The World Economic Forum, the Council on Foreign Relations, the hidden networks that coordinate global policy from the shadows, all exposed, all judged, all swept away in a single moment of cosmic justice. For the righteous who have watched corruption triumph while good people suffer, this brings hope beyond measure. Finally, justice that cannot be bought, delayed, or corrupted by influence. But for those who have built empires on deception, who have exploited the vulnerable, who have used their power to crush the innocent, this brings terror beyond imagination. Because this judge sees everything, every hidden transaction, every secret meeting, every lie told from positions of authority. When the Son of Man returns, will he find faith on the earth, or will he find the same corruption that brought the flood? The judgment seat is already prepared. The only question is when the gavel falls. Hidden in the most cryptic sections of Enoch's visions lies a prophecy so precise, so detailed, that it reads like a coded history of the world, past, present, and future. The animal apocalypse unfolds like a divine chess game, where nations and peoples are represented by specific animals, their movements across history choreographed by unseen hands, their ultimate destinies sealed by cosmic decree. Enoch sees sheep representing the chosen people, scattered and vulnerable. Eagles, bears, and wild beasts symbolize the great empires that rise and fall across centuries. And through it all, a pattern emerges, a timeline that begins in ancient history and extends into a future that feels startlingly close to our present. The vision shows 70 shepherds given authority over the sheep, but they abuse their power, killing more than commanded, oppressing the innocent. These shepherds represent rulers across history who were supposed to protect their people, but instead exploited them. From ancient kings to modern presidents, prime ministers, and global leaders who serve corporate interests while their citizens suffer. Modern prophecy interpreters have spent decades matching Enoch's animals to contemporary nations. The eagle represents America, its wings spread across the globe, but now facing challenges from rising powers. The bear symbolizes Russia, awakening from decades of dormancy with nuclear threats and territorial ambitions. Lions represent Britain and its former empire, still roaring but lacking the strength to back up its claims. Other interpreters see even more detail in the vision. The goats and rams of Enoch's prophecy are often connected to Middle Eastern powers, perpetually clashing and destabilizing the flock. Some even argue that the black sheep Enoch saw, those who look like the flock but secretly betray them, represent infiltration within religious and political systems themselves. But here's what makes the animal apocalypse terrifying for our generation. The timeline points to a convergence happening right now. Wars rage in Ukraine and the Middle East, while tensions escalate between superpowers. Economic systems teeter as inflation devours currencies and supply chains fracture. The rise of global powers that think themselves gods, the persecution of the innocent by those who should protect them, leaders openly calling for population reduction and global governance. All of this matches Enoch's vision with surgical precision. And Enoch makes clear that divine patience has a limit. He describes the Lord of the Sheep sending observers to count how many of the flock are destroyed unjustly. This isn't random chaos, it is a test being recorded in heaven's books. Every betrayal, every war of greed, every shepherd who devours instead of protects is being documented. When the tally reaches its end, judgment comes swiftly, and no power structure, no matter how entrenched, will be able to withstand it. These prophecies echo the same themes, and Revelation follows the same pattern of beasts rising to challenge divine authority. The shepherds have become wolves, devouring those they were meant to guard. If Enoch's timeline is accurate, and if we're living in the final scenes of his animal apocalypse, then what comes next isn't reformation. What comes next is the appearance of the great white bull, the Messiah who ends all earthly kingdoms and establishes a rule that cannot be challenged. In the most terrifying vision ever recorded, Enoch witnesses the ultimate courtroom, a place where every secret is exposed, every lie unraveled, every hidden deed dragged into the light of absolute truth. The scene unfolds with the precision of cosmic law. Books are opened, not just metaphorical records, but actual documentation of every thought, every word, every action that ever occurred on Earth. Nothing forgotten, nothing overlooked, nothing dismissed as too small to matter. This isn't just judgment, it's cosmic auditing. Every life measured against divine standards, every choice weighed in scales that cannot be corrupted, every destiny sealed according to evidence that cannot be denied. But here's what makes Enoch's vision so relevant to our digital age. The complete recording of human activity is no longer science fiction. Facial recognition cameras track your movements through every city. Social media platforms archive every post, every like, every private message. Banks record every transaction, every purchase, every financial decision. Smartphones monitor your location, your contacts, your conversations. Smart home devices listen to your private moments. We've built our own version of Enoch's divine records, not just the big sins, but everything, every private moment of cruelty, every secret act of kindness, every thought harbored in darkness, the complete record of human consciousness laid bare before eyes that see through every mask. Even governments now speak openly of total information awareness, programs that log biometric data, track digital identities, and predict behavior before it even happens. In many ways, humanity has already constructed a shadow version of Enoch's courtroom, a surveillance system where nothing is forgotten. But unlike heaven's records, these systems can be manipulated, censored, or weaponized, making divine judgment the only truly incorruptible audit. For the righteous who have endured injustice in silence, this judgment brings vindication beyond imagination. Every false accusation exposed, every hidden sacrifice revealed. But for those who have built empires on deception, who have destroyed lives while maintaining spotless reputations, this brings terror beyond description. Every backroom deal exposed, every lie stripped away. No spin doctors, no escape routes. Enoch emphasizes that even the powerful will tremble. Kings, rulers, and so-called shepherds will attempt to hide, but their records follow them into the courtroom. The wealth of billionaires, the secrecy of corporations, the secret treaties of nations, all stand exposed under the same light. The courtroom of heaven makes no distinction between beggar and king. All are weighed on the same scales. The surveillance state we've created is just a shadow of what Enoch witnessed. The books are being prepared. The evidence is being compiled. The only question is whether you're ready for your case to be called. If the reality of digital surveillance as a preview of divine judgment is hitting differently now, smash that like button and subscribe. Because the final prophecies reveal events that will make this look like preparation. When Enoch lifted his eyes to the heavens, he saw more than stars and planets. He witnessed a cosmic communication system where celestial events served as warning signals for those wise enough to read the messages written in light and shadow. The prophecy unfolds with astronomical precision. And on that day the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall not shine, shall fall from heaven, and there shall be great distress upon the earth. This wasn't just poetry. Enoch was describing specific celestial mechanics that would serve as harbingers of the end. Solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, meteor showers, and stellar phenomena that would appear in the final generation like cosmic alarm bells. Jesus confirmed Enoch's vision in Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven. What makes this prophecy chilling is how precisely it matches our current astronomical moment. We're witnessing celestial events with unprecedented frequency and intensity. The 2017 total solar eclipse crossed the entire United States, the first to do so in 99 years. Blood moons appeared on Jewish feast days in 2014 to 2015 in patterns that defied statistical probability. In 2022, asteroid 2022 EB5 was discovered just hours before impact. NASA tracks over 28,000 near-Earth objects, with new potentially hazardous asteroids discovered monthly. But here's what governments don't want you to know. Solar activity has reached levels that could cripple our technological civilization overnight. The Carrington event-level solar storms are not just possible, they're inevitable. Yet this information is downplayed, buried in technical reports most people never see. Enoch saw these cosmic disturbances not as random natural phenomena, but as intentional signals. The universe itself participating in the countdown to judgment. While those in power suppress the true scope of what's coming, we're witnessing exactly what Enoch predicted. A generation that would see signs in the heavens unlike any previous era. The countdown has begun. The signs are multiplying. The heavens themselves are declaring that the time of judgment approaches like a storm front moving across the universe. In the final act of Enoch's apocalyptic drama, he witnesses a period of tribulation so intense, so comprehensive, that it makes every previous era of suffering look like preparation for the main event. This isn't just war or famine or natural disaster. This is the systematic unraveling of every institution, every assumption, every comfortable lie that humanity has built its civilization upon. Truth becomes forbidden, lies become law, and the very foundations of reality seem to shift beneath the feet of those trying to navigate the chaos. Enoch describes it with chilling clarity. And in those days the nations shall be stirred up, and the kindreds of the earth shall be moved, and they shall come to cast lots upon the children of the light. The pattern is unmistakable, a time when the righteous become targets, when standing for truth becomes a capital offense, when the very concept of absolute morality is declared the enemy of progress and peace. Look around, wars raging across multiple continents simultaneously. Economic systems teetering on the edge of collapse while wealth concentrates in fewer hands. Political institutions losing credibility as corruption is exposed at every level. Social structures dissolving as basic concepts become battlegrounds. Jesus confirmed Enoch's vision in Matthew 24, "And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, for nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom." But Enoch saw something else in these final days, the emergence of a global system that operates beyond national boundaries, beyond democratic oversight, beyond any form of accountability to the people it controls. The United Nations pushing global governance initiatives, the World Health Organization claiming authority over national sovereignty during health emergencies, the World Economic Forum coordinating economic policies across nations without public consent, digital ID systems being implemented worldwide to track and control movement, purchases, and behavior. And woven into all of this is spiritual deception, prophets warning of false messiahs, religions blending into one global faith, leaders performing signs and wonders that dazzle the masses while leading them deeper into chains. What Enoch described as nations casting lots for the children of the light can be seen today in the persecution of believers worldwide. Churches burned, speech criminalized, and morality inverted until good is called evil and evil is celebrated as progress. The tribulation serves a crucial purpose: to separate the wheat from the chaff, those who will bow to any authority to preserve comfort from those who will sacrifice everything to remain faithful to truth. The pressure reveals true character. Some will embrace lies to avoid persecution, while others will stand firm even when it costs them everything. Even nature itself may turn against humanity in this period. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, plagues of locusts, and unprecedented droughts echo the judgments described in both Enoch and Revelation. Technology will not shield humanity from these upheavals. In fact, it may amplify them. Global dependence on fragile power grids, food supply chains, and digital infrastructure means that one catastrophic disruption could send billions into chaos overnight. We're living in the early stages of what Enoch saw. The pressure is building rapidly, the systems are failing faster each month, the time is approaching when every person will have to choose: conform to the consensus or stand for the truth, regardless of the cost. The window for choosing is closing quickly. What seemed impossible just years ago is now being implemented globally at unprecedented speed. 7 prophecies, 7 warnings, 7 glimpses into a future that feels less like distant possibility and more like tomorrow's headlines written 3,000 years too early. The watchers bound until judgment, while secret powers teach forbidden knowledge in shadows. The final judgment approaching like a cosmic audit where every digital footprint becomes evidence. Signs multiplying in the heavens as eclipses and asteroids announce time is running out. And the tribulation building as systems collapse and truth becomes illegal. We're not just reading about ancient prophecies, we're living inside them. Every headline confirms another piece of Enoch's puzzle. Every crisis matches another detail of his cosmic timeline. Enoch's visions weren't erased from the Bible because they were false. They were buried because they were too close to the truth, too precise, too detailed, too dangerous for people to read without recognizing their own time reflected in his words. The countdown he witnessed isn't just approaching. It's here. The prophecies of Enoch are happening right now. The question is whether you're ready for what comes next. If you are, then subscribe to Ancient Underworld, like this video, and turn on notifications. Because if Enoch was right about everything else, then the most important chapters of his prophecy are still ahead of us.